cover all the beats, but not me. And culture and entertainment. That's arts and entertainment, and I stuck with it. And went to work also at the Nation. Left the Nation, went to work at the National Cultural Foundation.
Yep.
You know, some people still think that I work at the Advocate, the Nation, and the National Cultural Foundation.
All at once?
Well, different people from different eras.
Andrea.
Different people from different eras.
Yeah.
And I did work at the National Cultural Foundation in the business development department. So I'm going through all of this, so you see that my entire life has been in the cultural and creative industries.
Really is a natural progression, and behind the scenes you were always doing arts.
Yes.
You were always coming up with these initiatives, spearheading you know, major initiatives like this and working behind the scenes. So we really could see that that truly was a part of you.
And I think that one crowning moment in my arts career would have been becoming the first director of the Barbados Cultural Industries Development Authority, now defunct, but gone back, I should not defunct, I should say it's gone back into the NCF's Business Development Department. So after that experience, I realized, okay, time to do what I want to do. And so I started Culture and Arts for Love and Living in 2019 and have been working on arts projects that Andrea wants to do that I think is are necessary.
And not only here, but down the region as well.
Well, yes, coming out of that Cultural Industries Development Authority came the awesome opportunity to become a UNESCO expert in the 2005 Convention for Freedom of Expression and Cultural Diversity. I joined a pool of, I think there were 42 other men and women from across the world, an awesome network. That expert facility program had started about 8 years before, and it brings together people who have expertise in arts and arts management and culture in general. And it is, as it said, you provide your expertise to help develop arts and entertainment projects across all the UNESCO countries. And so that has served me well with Call Barbados. It really has expanded the network globally.
That's beautiful. Now you're moving into a new island visual arts exhibition.
Yes.
And it's titled Reparations, generally the theme.
The theme. So that came about. There's a new culture fund going for Caribbean creatives. It's Le Centre d'Art. Please forgive my pronunciation of French. It's a Haitian American group and Caribbean Culture Fund. So when I saw the call come out, and the application process was incredibly easy. And we applied to do a project. There were 3 tracks, migration, memory, and Caribbean collaboration. And so because I have a network in the Caribbean, I thought, you know what, let's try for Caribbean collaboration. It's time to move beyond. The Bridgetown International Arts Festival is international in that it reaches out for artists to come into Barbados and perform. But this particular project now is Barbados going out to the world. So because of the wide network, I found partners in Trinidad and Jamaica. And that's an interesting thing how I found that partnership, because creatives, as you can appreciate, all over the world have challenges getting funding, getting investment. And so a Jamaican partner, Olayinka Jacobs, she founded South Collective, a group of collectives in the global South who we come together and we do projects. So coming out of that, I found the Jamaican partner coming out of South Collective. And then the Trinidad partner was a woman who actually entered the Bridgetown International Arts Festival in the visual arts. Our visual arts partner is the Caribbean Fine Art Fair. You'll hear more about that a bit later on in the year.
Also known as the CAFA Fair.
Yeah, the CAFA Fair, yes, with Anderson Pilgrim in New York. Good morning, Anderson.
Good morning, Anderson.
And so Junelle Lewis from Trinidad and Katrina Combs from Jamaica are partnering with Culture and Arts for Love and Living in Barbados to produce the CRJ 10PP Recognition, Justice, Development. It's a visual art exhibition involving the 3 countries. Now, each artist is exhibiting in their respective country. If they can get work in the other countries, if a Barbadian can get work to Trinidad or to Jamaica, they can exhibit in the Jamaican and the Trinidadian exhibition. And likewise, And I'm talking a lot.
Yeah, I like that you're talking a lot. You're an interviewer's dream. But what intrigues me is that you say that is working in this 10-point plan, the CARICOM 10-point plan,
Yes.
which is what you said, 10 PP. Explain a little
Yes.
more.
The CARICOM in about 2012, 13 or 14, somewhere around there, founded the CARICOM Reparations Commission. So all the CARICOM territories have either a task force or a commission which is supposed to advise government on matters related to reparations. I'm actually on the Barbados task force for reparations. I know you have my colleague Ambassador Commission here on a regular, so you would hear quite a lot about the CARICOM Reparations Commission, and the 10-point plan is articulated quite simply, and it can be found on caricom.org. I can tell you that the very first point in that plan is a full and formal apology. What's the first thing you do if you hit somebody?
You apologize.
You say sorry.
Yeah.
So that's
well, certainly if you feel sorry for doing it.
Well, that is true. That is true, if you are sorry. So that's the first part. I'm not going to go through all 10 because I don't know them by heart. It's easy to check, caricom.org. And so in order to highlight this very critical issue, particularly because our Prime Minister is the permanent chair of the CARICOM Subcommittee for Reparations, I hope I got that right, and I felt as though we need to be seen to be doing more. The masses need to be seen to be doing more, because government support is going to be underpinned by mass support, and it's important for us, the people, to understand what reparative justice is all about. And so through this exhibition, it not only highlights the work of artists in the 3 islands, but it also explains what the 10-point plan is all about. And it will be coupled with a social media campaign that actually lifts the text from the 10-point plan on CARICOM's website and propagate it through social media. It has been done before, but we need reminding. You know, we learn by rote, we learn by repetition. So the CARICOM, the CRJ 10PP recognition, development, justice is another way to help people learn and assimilate and inculcate and have it in their brain that this is what we are fighting for.
I feel like we're making great inroads, more so than we've seen in previous times, particularly at the UN. Just a few weeks ago, we saw our Prime Minister calling for another decade dedicated to people of African descent to be able to further advance what we're doing. And I feel as though we have finally been able to inculcate, you know, in a different way, where people are viewing reparations differently than we have in the past. Everybody thought, oh, that's a waste of time. I think the conversation has now elevated.
It's moving on slowly but surely. 10 years ago, you said the word reparations. People like, look at you like, what's that? You know, and but today we have students who understand it. And I'm so happy that just last week, I think the National Library Service had an event that focused on reparations, and Ambassador Commission gave a brilliant speech. And I said, you know, these young people, in another 10 years, they're going to be, another 20 years, they're going to be the torch bearers. So it's good that at this moment, they're adults who understand and are willing to work, teach the young people so that the torch can be carried on. And that decade for recognizing people of African descent, if we get 2 decades, it still would not be enough.
It's true. 200 years is a long time. Plus.
Yeah. Plus.
So how do we become a part of what's happening here, Jamaica, Trinidad?
So,
how are we able to kind of jump online and find out what's happening?
The open call, the participation is by open call. Visual artists in each country fill out the form. It's a Google form, very easy to fill out. And between November 30th is the deadline. So between November 30th and December 15th, we'll be making the selections of who would exhibit. You will appreciate that gallery spaces are very small. And I know that Jamaica and Trinidad have confirmed their gallery space. I'm still going to I'm still in the process of confirming the gallery space for Barbados. And I also appreciate that artists understanding where the work is going to be exhibited is important. But coming from my arts background, a space is a space is a space. We can take this studio and create a gallery from it.
This is true.
So Barbados has not yet confirmed the gallery, but the exhibition is in February, so there's still a lot of time. And fill out that form by November 30th, submit the work when called for in February.
What are you looking for? If we can define parameters.
Any work that speaks to any one of the points in the 10-point plan. There's debt cancellation. I said there was a full and formal apology. There's an education program, African knowledge transfer, repatriation. We know Rastafari, since we saw Rastafari in the 70s, early 80s, have been out front calling for repatriation. That's also an important one on the 10-point plan. Building cultural institutions is another point on the 10-point plan. So you read the 10 points, you read the narrative associated with the 10 points, and you create a work or look for work that's already in your portfolio and submit it. I think the cap is 5 pieces. You can submit up to 5 works per individual. I particularly want to get this message out to schools. It'd be interesting to see how schools interpret the theme of the exhibition. CRJ 10PP, recognition, development, justice.
The thing about art, and what I love about art, is you can put it in a different space with a totally different write-up, and it fits right in.
Yes.
You know, depending on what you're looking for, what you're looking at, what context is set.
Yes.
Then it most certainly can fit into different spaces.
Absolutely. I frequently go to the Queen's Park Gallery, where the curator there, Onika, small props to her.
Morning, Onika.
Does some wonderful curating.
Yeah.
And sometimes I see the work, and I look at the write-up, and I look at the work, and I step back, and I see the write-up, and I said, okay. So I agree with you.
Yeah.
All that to say, yes, you know, it is a matter of interpretation.
Absolutely. So there's an open call from Call.
Call Barbados, yes.
There's an open call from Call Barbados,
yes,
for you to get involved in this particular exhibition.
Visual artist. So I've been, I know quite a few members of the visual art community, and I've been sharing it with them. There are a couple of collectives, visual art collectives, so I've made sure that I shared it with them. So the only thing left to do is for the visual artists to answer the call. Visual artists, answer the call. Your deadline for application is November 30th. The exhibition is in February, but we want to have your ideas or information about the work submitted by November 30th, so that we can adequately select the pieces and work out how to do the display.
Good stuff. And of course, it's woman-led.
Yes.
In
Yes.
each territory.
It is.
And that is significant as well, because even as we advocate for reparatory justice, we want to make sure that we are putting our women in the arts,
Yes.
across the board, but in the arts in particular, in the place they need to be as well.
Of course, it's gender equity. You know, there's a disproportionate amount of women who are in management levels in the arts across the region. You may find a female head here and there, but it is positions of authority for women in the arts is still disproportionate. I think in entertainment in general, a lot of the leadership positions are held by men. So we want equity as well. So I do hope that when the visual artists submit, that we see at least a balance between females and males.
Yeah, what do you hope is the legacy of this one moving forward? This is some pretty strong stuff. Building out on the 10-point plan for reparations is pretty major.
That's an important question. The legacy is an education. We have to know that justice is our right. And if we have to fight for it, we must fight for it. So this exhibition is just one little small sand grain in the vastness of the education that needs to continue. You know?
Brother Bob came immediately to mind when you said justice is our, we gotta fight. We gotta, you know, that's what happens with the arts.
Yes.
It kind of implants a little something in your brain, and
yes,
there it goes. My mind goes directly to that song.
Yeah.
As soon as you utter those words.
It's all about social justice, you know. So this project is social justice. Bob Marley was a social justice artist. So, yeah.
And I know that you're often juggling, Andrea, not fine China.
God,
but,
mother will have
you know,
my
as you
edge.
mentioned, there's the CAFA Fair, but you also
Yes.
are involved with several other projects as well.
Yeah, well, my pet project, my baby, the first one call started with is the Bridgetown International Arts Festival. And I started that because we have a heavy emphasis on soca for a good 2 months of the year. And then outside of that, during the Crop Over Festival, we see all calypso soca related activity. And then there's NIFCA, which is performing arts in all its forms, but it's focused on the National Independence Festival of Creative Arts. So it has a particular theme. The Bridgetown International Arts Festival is different in that any form of expression in any genre, any mode is accepted. That's why we partnered with CAFA Fair, because we needed to have a visual art component, and Anderson was very kind enough to accept when we asked him if we could partner. That partnership actually started in 2020 at the Courtney Blackman Grand Salle. And so I forgot the question you asked me.
Yeah, about all of the other things. So we were talking about the Bridgetown International
Arts Festival.
Actually, so you kind of set the table, and you were about to take off, or what would happen?
It's the hunger, it's the hunger. The deadline for that, the international deadline for that, is October 30th. And it's that early because the festival is self-funded, meaning that you pay your own way to come. We don't charge you to participate. You don't pay us to participate. But if you get here, we provide a stage, a space. We help you to look for accommodation. We help you with ground transportation, and we facilitate your performance. If we happen to get it recorded, you get your video, and certainly you get photographs. That's what I was explaining, that it's outward looking, in that we want to share the Barbadian stage with the world. We invite the world of artists and performers to come to Barbados and perform, to help develop that what do you call it? Entertainment tourism, arts tourism, because we're getting into all kinds of tourisms now. So why can't our arts and entertainment have its day? So that was one of the focus of the Bridgetown International Arts Festival. The deadline for local participation remains open. I've had some years where the very month of the festival, I've had somebody approach me and ask if they can perform. That's happened more than once over the years since 2020. So we tend to keep the local deadline open, but sometimes you need to cut off so that you can adequately plan. So for the international deadline, it's October 30th, and you know whether or not you've been accepted in 2 weeks. So that'd be November 15th, right? So, but locally, you're probably up to January, because that last minute thing is, I teach arts and entertainment management, and I always tell my students that we must set standards and keep them. So if I set a deadline must be kept, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
What are some of the success stories of that particular festival that you can share with us?
That it still exists. We don't get
post 2020.
Yes,
Yeah.
We don't get a lot of sponsorship. Pardon me. Call sponsors in, and I reach out to my network of friends, some of whom want to remain anonymous, and they support they make donations. Bridgetown Duty Free has been a loyal supporter for the past 3 years, as has Starcom Network has been a sponsor as well, and some private individuals whose names I was about to call, but I don't want to have my head. So, but those are the main sponsors from time, and it's been difficult trying to convince corporate Barbados to support the festival. there's a lot of competition happening. Culture and arts for love and living is a kind of new kid on the block when it comes to doing these things, you know. So we're about slow and steady wins the race, you know.
This is true.
The festival is intended to be a legacy. So you don't build legacies in a year, do you?
It's true.
Yeah.
I remember years ago when I used to, my sisters lived in Boston. So there was a big sign. There was what they called the Big Dig.
Yeah.
And their only promotion was a big sign that says Rome wasn't built in a day. And we used to have a real laugh about that.
But it's so true.
It's quite cheeky, but I mean, it says it all.
It's true. Although the way time is flying so fast nowadays, it's like, you know, it's already October 21st.
Yeah. So let's reinforce. We, of course, you know, want you to be cognizant of that open call from Call Barbados.
Yes.
To be able to be a part of that. So some deadlines and dates for that.
Yes.
People need to know it.
Right. Are we talking about the festival? The deadline for the festival is October 30th. That's in a couple days from now.
That's for international.
International deadline is October 30th. Barbadians would have up to probably the end of January, you know. And for the visual art, that's in November. To submit your application. The work will be submitted in February. The application has to come in at the end of next month. Yes.
All right.
I wanted to make a point about the Bridgetown International Arts Festival. You asked about legacy. And I mentioned earlier that I teach in the Arts and Entertainment program at the Barbados Community College. We involve the students in that program in all aspects of festival production. So that's another legacy. It is work practice for the students. You know, they can choose to come and be anything in terms of festival preparation, because that's what their course is all about, managing arts. So that's another legacy that I hope that one day. The program started in 2016. It has been going along nicely since then, and we want to encourage anybody who wants to study arts and entertainment. You might be creative, but you might not be good in front of a camera. You might not be able to draw, but you can manage people, you can manage artists, and we do need trained art administrators and managers. So it was really good that that program came at the time that it did. The fine arts program at Barbados Community College is great. Turns out a lot of excellent students. The one thing that was missing was arts and entertainment management. The fashion students will probably say we should have a bachelor's in fashion, but that will come. That will come.
Yeah, you also had a stint in fashion too. That just came back to me. But we'll talk about that another time.
I still design.
It's always good to have a conversation with you, Andrea King, Director of Culture and Arts for Love and Living. I'm sure that acronym is by no mistake. It's an open call for you.
Oh, that was spirit-led.
And of course, it is. She's also a UNESCO expert. So if you need some expert advice, you know exactly where to call.
Yeah.
See what I did there?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. Very clever.
So Andrea gets to run off. You know, she's been saying
Can I say one thing?
One thing.
It's Commermere month. Happy Commermere month.
I saw that coming. I saw that coming. They're all trying to bomb brush me, so Amory with that last week.
There was an interesting thing that happened last Sunday. The first set of guides at Commermere School, the girls who went in 1976, had a plaque put in their honor in the foyer in the Major Newt Hall last Sunday. I think that was historic.
All right.
So yes.
Up and on.
Up and on.
All right. Time for a break, but stay with us. There's much more coming.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Yes, I can hear you. All righty.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love cruise.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
So good in a party yet. You know why?
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Welcome back on this Monday, 18 minutes to go now before 7 o'clock. The next interview was been in the works for many weeks. So we're happy to have joining us this morning. Finally, she's no longer here in Barbados, but online, Dr. Annabelle Manalo Morgan, who is an educator, an author, a speaker, a mother of 5, a wife, so many things. But she has a book called Mighty Flower, How Cannabis Saved My Son, that we want to focus on. Of course, she was here in Barbados as the keynote speaker for the just concluded Bridgetown Cannabis MedCon and Expo. So good morning to you, Dr. Annabelle. Good to have you with us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
We actually had an opportunity to chat with you maybe a year ago through Babsy. I know that there's a connection there, so it's wonderful to have you back on CBC TV8 to talk more about the work you've done. So let's start at the beginning. Share the story of just what the book says, how cannabis saved your son.
Yeah, sure. Thank you for having me this morning. I wrote this book in 2019. Many of you may know my husband, Gramps Morgan of Morgan Heritage. We had a son together, our first little boy, and he was born fine. But he was, it took the turn quickly after bringing him home. So Gramps noticed that he was foaming at the mouth and that he was seizing. So he was having 500 seizures a day, up to 500 seizures a day. Doctors tried everything, of course. He had a stroke, and to this day, I can't tell you why or how that happened. But ultimately, a surgery was done on our son Macario, where 38% of his brain was removed. So he's missing pretty much all of his left brain. And it was predicted because of what is that area is responsible for, that Macario would never use the right side of his body. He would never have memory, comprehension, proper speech, and just have a really difficult life, as you can expect a child missing that much of his brain. But we brought him home. That's when he was 5 weeks old. And of course, we're going to love him and do everything that we can as parents to help Macario have somewhat normalcy of life. It was at 6 months old where me being a biologist, I felt like God maybe made me a scientist for a reason. I'm a cellular biologist, and I started in neuroscience, and I really just kind of turned off mom and turned on scientist, and thought to myself, I need to try to do something, look into something, or at least study my son to see what we can do in order for him to have some form of normalcy. I mean, truly, because at 6 months old, he was still no different than a newborn baby. He wasn't crying. He wasn't moving on his own. We were really just feeding him from a tube. So he was growing. But that's about it developmentally. So long story short, I created him a medicine. I used cannabis. My research was very different. I am a scientist. So I was really careful about what I did, but fast-tracked it, of course, because I was looking for something for my son. I went cold turkey off of all of his medications. I started pumping this formula. I made him through his G-tube, and immediately started seeing change at 7 months old. His eyes started to move around. 2 days later, he was crawling. 2 months later after that, and today he's 8 years old and will be getting up shortly, getting ready for school. He has no developmental deficits whatsoever, and that's why I wrote the book, Mighty Flower.
That is such an amazing story on so many levels. What type of response did you get, Dr. Annabelle, from mainstream science, from doctors? Because I would imagine the pushback would have been interesting, or the conversation around it at least.
Absolutely. I actually thought I would get a lot of a worse response than I did, just because of the stigma, of course, around cannabis. And this was 2016. So in the state of Tennessee, where we live, cannabis is still illegal. So I had expected a lot of pushback, but quite honestly, when you have a miracle, and that's why I'm using our story as a tool. When you have such a miracle, people listen, people still have a heart, even scientists, and the scientific community has been incredibly supportive. And I also think it's because I haven't taken the path of, okay, let me create a business to just start selling a bunch of ganja, or, let me capitalize off of cannabis becoming legal soon. I never took that route. I've always been research focused. How do I contribute to add more science to the industry? And I think that's a big part of why the response has been so amazing, honestly.
We know you were here, as I mentioned, as the keynote speaker for the Bridgetown Cannabis MedCon and Expo here in Barbados recently. And even though you're advocating through your book for medicinal use of cannabis, you're also advocating for there to be a lot of R&R, research and development as well. So share with us a little bit more about your thoughts on where we should go with cannabis based on your experiences in terms of being able to truly develop it, so we can see the benefits in the way that you have in Macario.
Yes, so I want to say thank you to BMCLA. I know you all had Shanika on the morning after, become a good friend of mine. And I will say that Since 2019, Gramps and I have just been, of course, going across the Caribbean to see where the research lies, where the legislation lies on cannabis. And I am happy to say, the development has been quite incredible. Every Caribbean country is, taking different steps in different ways. But I do see that in Barbados, you have the right people leading the path as far as wanting to make the right connections. That conference, Beige Can, was incredible because there were so many different respective leaders from the cannabis industry within the Caribbean that attended and that shared where exactly cannabis is in their different Caribbean countries. And we were able to compare it to where it is in the United States, where it is in the UK, within Europe, because a lot of people in the cannabis industry really travel to try to make waves. I think, staying on the same path as far as doing the due diligence. Don't just throw the word medical in front of cannabis. We still don't have specific products for specific conditions. And until we can get there, we still have to just keep pushing on the research and the drug formulation, so that people that aren't really into cannabis for that reason, for medicine, so that they can start trusting it because it has the science behind it. So I think that, you have the right leadership and you have the right groups in the Caribbean to really make a big push within the next year.
And I think in the Caribbean context of where we have gone, what we've seen, how we've kind of bashed cannabis throughout the years, I think you're uniquely poised, being married to Gramps Morgan, a part of the Rastafarian community, people who have been advocating for many, many years about the medicinal benefits of cannabis. Talk to us about how even that part of the conversation has shaped your entry into certain places or areas or with certain people.
Well, within the Caribbean and probably within Africa, the Rastafarian conversation comes up almost every time. And I do want to put this out there that Gramps has never used marijuana a day in his life. I mean, so maybe that's a misconception of being a Rasta, is that you have to smoke. And in his case, it's not true. But we do believe that there is a spiritual purpose there. There's definitely a nutritional and a medicinal, and we've known that for years, way before our time. And so that conversation comes up. Gramps' father, Ross Denroy Morgan, was a pioneer in cannabis in New York. So, what I love about it is seeing Rastafarians actually leaving their respective islands and making an impact somewhere like the United States, where he got caught back in 2011, 2012 with 25 pounds of ganja, and which is essentially over a $350,000 fine at the time and years in prison, and ended up getting off with 90 days probation and a $25 charge for court fees. And I think what's the most significance there is he kind of paved the way for New York being able to acknowledge the spiritual use of cannabis, not just amongst Rastafarians, but many other nations for years, India, China, you name it. And that shouldn't be kept from us, especially when there's a spiritual connotation to it. And so the conversation comes up a lot. I always appreciate it because they need to be heard, and to be able to take science and put some justification behind their belief has been really important to us.
That's truly excellent. Certainly in this part of the world, even if there has been use in other cultures from other ethnic groups, what we know of is what we lead with, which is that the Rastafarian community, they have been the ones who've been advocating and who've been out front here in the Caribbean for many, many, many years. All right, it's time for a break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the book itself and tell you exactly where you can get it. That's all next.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Welcome back. We have Dr. Annabelle Manalo Morgan on the line with us, and we started a very interesting conversation about how she used her background in science to help heal her son. Now, when I say a word like heal, a lot of the times science will say we can't use that word. So even if there's some acknowledgement, they never want to say that there was healing that occurred. However, you've said that you've had some great conversations. So, what is your advice for BMCLA, for various other bodies across the Caribbean and around the world who are advocating for the background to go with it? We met a company out of the Bahamas recently, for example, coming out of the conference, Bermuda as well, and they have some great science that's going behind the cannabis drive, so to speak. So what's your advice as a researcher, as a scientist, as someone who, has a proven and tested product, if we can refer to what you use with your son as such, to those pundits who might be looking on, or people who aren't as convinced as they should be as yet?
Great question, and a very important one. When I do say that cannabis has moved forward as far as being more accepted and more legislation is kind of getting a little more relaxed. Even here in the United States, it's thought that it's going to legalize soon. Don't skip any steps. And, I've had a lot of these conversations with BMCLA and a lot of groups that are doing research. Don't go out of your own expertise, and don't skip any steps in the process. If we are trying to go ahead and prove that cannabis is safe and that cannabis is truly a medicine, then we need to invest in the research and we need to collaborate. I mean, collaboration is arguably the main factor of science coming to light. It is within collaboration that we're able to move needles forward, because you have expertise from different angles coming on board to prove one thing. And I do think that within the cannabis industry, you talk a lot about collaboration, but if it doesn't result in sales, then that collaboration goes away, and that attention to actually doing the science goes away. And that's the unfortunate part of the cannabis industry, is that it's such a large business. People are making so much money, and it has actually taken away from the opportunity of being able to go into a deep dive and look at the science and check all the boxes. And so when I say don't skip the steps, it takes a lot to develop a new drug. And if we're thinking of cannabis as a medicine, we have to fill those boxes and do all those steps, just like we would penicillin, just like we did aspirin, which were all discovered from plants. And so, I'm very careful about speaking negatively about the pharmaceutical industry that is essentially our standard right now, right? I mean, they're our standard. If you want to move the needle with a plant-based compound or with plants, then just go ahead and check the boxes that you would with any pharmaceutical so that you can prove the point. So that's what I would do, and that's where the conversations lie. I definitely cross-collaborate across many different countries. I've introduced many different scientists and doctors, and feel really good about being able to advocate in that type of way.
All right. As a scientist too, what do you believe the medicine you were able to make from Macario 8 years ago, close to, what do you believe it did to be able to get him back to this state of normalcy?
I love that question.
By our standards. Yeah.
Yes. So, medicine today is very Band-Aid-like, and that probably is the downfall of the pharmaceutical industry, is that we actually make the symptoms go away, but are we truly healing whatever that root problem is, or whatever that condition or disease is? In my son's case, he didn't grow his brain back, but being from the neuroscience space, I knew that the brain cells can do what's called neuroplasticity. I talked about this a lot in my talk. I talk about this all the time. Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to rewire and to adapt to change. And in my son's case, the ability for him to compensate for the area that's lost. And so it's a very holistic healing mechanism. If you think about it, I wasn't trying to grow his brain back. I wasn't trying to heal his gut or, heal a specific part of his brain. I was trying to encourage and influence a process that God gave us all to do, which is to heal on our own. And sometimes we just need a little nudge. We have what's called the endocannabinoid system. The endocannabinoid system is responsible for homeostasis in the body, which is balance. And so to be able to give my son something with him having a developing brain that could just encourage neuroplasticity and that redirection and rewiring, he is doing every function that he is not supposed to do because that area of the brain is missing.
Now, wearing your mommy hat, how does it make you feel all these years later after hearing what you did when you brought him home and to see him growing in this way? I mean, what does this mean to you as a mom?
I'm grateful. I'm grateful to God. I still cry about it. I still worry, as every mother does, for her child. Gramps and I have 5 children together, 14 total, and Macario is the light. He is the center that keeps everything together. And it's just, we have so much gratitude. And so our motto as a family is more stories like Macario's. How do we take our blessings and inspire others, through music, through sports, through science? How do we create more miracles like our son Macario? So as a mom, I'm overwhelmed with gratitude. Like I said, he's 8 years old now. I've never gotten used to what has transpired and the miracle that I've been able to experience with my son and now experience with many other families. Because when you're open to something and when you believe in it, you will more so be walking down that path yourself.
All right. I want to thank you for sharing with us. This most certainly is not the final time we'll be calling on you, because as we move through this path, I think it's important to have voices of reason, voices from science, voices from all other areas to be able to lend to the conversation, and that legitimizes the conversation that much more. So I want to thank you. Remember, the book is Mighty Flower, How Cannabis Saved My Son. Where can we get it, Dr. Annabelle?
Mighty Flower will be in Barbados soon, brick and mortar, but it's everywhere online. Amazon's been the most dependable place where you can get it anywhere in the world. You can follow me at Dr. Annabelle Everything. And yes, please stay in touch. I have a podcast that I'm going to be doing, docu-series. There will be clips from my time in Barbados and across the Caribbean, and hopefully conversations that I have with respective leaders within the region, because they're the ones that we want to see make the change. So anything that I can do to help further cannabis to becoming a medicine available to everybody, I'll be there.
Wonderful. Thank you for the time. And we look
Thank
forward
you.
to hearing from you and sharing with you more in future.
Great. Thank you. Have a great week, everyone. Bye.
Thank you. And make sure you pick up that book online if you can, or you can wait for it to be available in stores here in Barbados. But Mighty Flower, How Cannabis Saved My Son, definitely is a read you should take on. Just about 5 minutes now after 7 o'clock, we have an update of the news for today coming your way.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
I never feel so good in a party yet.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
So good in a party yet. You know why?
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning to you. 6 minutes after 7 o'clock on this October 21st. Time for an update of the news. Prime Minister Mia Motley has been honored for her service to the St. Michael Northeast constituency. Her constituents thanked her for commitment to them during the Barbados Labour Party's 85th annual conference church service. Anesta Henry has that report.
Prime Minister Mia Motley is celebrating 35 years of involvement with the constituency of St. Michael Northeast. The constituents presented her with a token of appreciation for working tirelessly on their behalf, building trust, unity, and a community spirit. A surprise, the Prime Minister Motley says she is thankful for the acknowledgement.
It's actually 35 years this year that I became involved in July with the constituency of St. Michael Northeast. And those who know me know that I mark my engagement with the constituency and not my election to Parliament. It was 33 years ago that I became a senator, and last month was 30 years that I was elected to the House of Assembly.
The Prime Minister says she is not one for celebrating such milestones, but is thanking constituents for the support.
Carmen Grimes was the first house that I went to in Hodgington Hill, Betty Carrington, Princess Carrington, Elton Douglas, Douglas Smith, who drove Granby Adams for all the years. These were the people who literally took me. But if there was one person who all of you knew was the senator, the deputy prime minister, and she shadowed every post that I had, it was Vivian Goodman. And perhaps one of the greatest regrets I have is that Vivian, George Arthur Smith, Mike Sinclair, a number of them were taken along the way, but all of us still today remember them with the fondness and the love, because they were an essential part of this journey.
Those who attended the service sang songs of praises and engaged in prayer. Reverend Lennox Boyce, pastor of the Church of God in Silver Sands Christchurch, says the commitment of Barbadians, along with the leadership of the Prime Minister, will help take the country to the next level.
Our country only needs one Prime Minister at a time. But we need several other people who are working in various spheres of life in an excellent way, doing what their hands have been designed to do in order for our world to work the way it is supposed to work. So each of us has the opportunity, if we can find the thing that we are created for, or purpose, and we can just commit ourselves to doing it, we would understand our worth, and we would then be able to add value.
Anesta Henry, CBC News.
The Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association has announced the team that will represent Barbados at this year's Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association Taste of the Caribbean competition in Miami that comes off next month. The 4 individuals will represent the island in 4 categories. Rokina Curtin in the pastry competition, Daquan Top in the junior chef, and Ronaldo Joseph and Alex Chandler in the senior chef and mixology categories respectively. Assistant team manager Javon Cummins says this year's competition is different and the team is hard at work to be ready for that competition.
It's been different. Obviously there's a fresh, new, young team, but obviously the approach has to be a little different because the competition rules, they changed a little bit this year. It's not really focused on a full team component, but it's more of the year component. So we have Chef of the Year, Pastry Chef of the Year, Junior Chef of the Year, and Mixologist of the Year. So the training sessions are more geared towards the individual and the strengths and weaknesses that they will have to face overseas, and then building their strength in terms of mystery baskets and that kind of stuff.
Mr. Cummins was speaking at one of the Barbados Culinary team's fundraising gourmet events over at the Hilton Resort. He also states that while the gourmet series helps, he would like to see some of the future series focus on aspects that will challenge the team in the competition.
For the raising of funds, definitely. This is one that I would always say these gourmet series are really great for that purpose. Obviously, different types of gourmet series are obviously a race. I think the other one is going to be completely different because the entire team component is finished. The plate, that whole type of team thing is not really needed because tastes have changed up the entire rules. So having the team probably showcase their dishes that they're taking to the Miami in the next gourmet series or something simple like that could be the way how we change up the gourmet series.
The psychiatric hospital is seeking to spread awareness about mental health. This is why the healthcare facility invited members of the public to a health fair and open day to commemorate Mental Health Awareness Month. Deputy Principal Nursing Officer at the Psychiatric Hospital, Michelle Moore, says it's important for the hospital to embark on such initiatives.
A fair for us where we invite members of the public, we invite allied healthcare professionals and other entities within the community. But our focus here today is to place emphasis on mental health, and especially mental health in the workplace, mental health in the schools, and how important it is in today's everyday society. We often place a lot of time and emphasis on working hard and doing our best or trying to give our best, but little time is spent on trying to make ourselves relaxed and stress-free. And that is important in today's society. Work-life balance is very important.
The Barbados Police Band is being heralded as an institution that has made Barbadians both local and abroad proud and serve the country with distinction. This message from Anglican Reverend Canon Henderson Guy as he delivered the 22nd Sunday after Pentecost sermon at the St. Mary's Anglican Church. It was also the 135th anniversary of the Barbados Police Service Band, which represented the church and presented them with a monetary donation.
What it is a privilege when I go overseas to be able to boast how good my band is, my musical band from the forces in Barbados. You don't realize how much joy you've given to people. When people are depressed, they're able to hear. When they're full of joy, they can dance and everything like that. So I personally want to thank you for that great joy you give me over the number of years. And I thank you, and I ask you to continue. Kindly remember, saints in the band, life is not easy.
Now, the inaugural Mediation Week began this weekend with a church service at the James Street Methodist Church. It celebrates the Supreme Court Mediation Department, which was first put in place to provide litigants with the possibility of having their disputes confidentially mediated by trained mediators. Mediation Coordinator Theo Franklin has encouraged Barbadians to consider mediation to solve conflicts.
Mediation at its core aligns with the teaching of our faith, promoting peace, understanding, and unity. As we work to resolve conflicts in our communities, we are reminded of the words in Matthew chapter 5, verse 9. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. We believe that through mediation, we can foster reconciliation and healing, just as God calls us to be peacemakers in all aspects of our lives. Let us continue to work in faith, knowing that by encouraging dialogue and understanding, we are contributing to a more just and harmonious society. I encourage attendees to embrace mediation in their lives.
And now, a proud moment for us here at CBC. The Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation has copped yet another prestigious Regional Award of Excellence. CBC sports reporter Anmar Goodrich-Boyce has won the Caribbean Sports Media Award at the inaugural Caribbean Association of National Olympic Committee's award ceremonies held in Turks and Caicos over the weekend. Goodrich-Boyce was specially recognized for his significant contribution to sport journalism in the region. He was one of 3 awardees from Barbados. The night's most prestigious honor, the Caribbean Lifetime Achievement Quadrennial Award, went to former president of the Barbados Olympic Association and also CANOC Steve Stout for his lifelong dedication to the development of sports in the Caribbean. Then, the Barbados Olympic Association received the Environmental Impact Reduction Award for minimizing their environmental footprint. So congratulations to Mr. Stout and to the BOA, and especially to our Anmar Goodrich-Boyce and the entire sports department. That's news at this time. We have a full package coming your way at 12 noon here on CBC TV 8. Stay tuned for that. Also, you can tune in to our radio stations if you're on the move on Q100.7 FM, 98.1 The One, and 94.7 FM, where we have the CBC News World at 1, a full 15-minute package of news, followed by 15 minutes of sports. It's just about 17 minutes now after 7 o'clock. Still to come, we're talking sleep and parenting, not necessarily together, but that's all coming up.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Affair segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning and welcome back. Have you had your cup of coffee as yet? No, I haven't had mine, but I'm not complaining. And here comes Cicely Clark Richmond. As the old people say, with her two long hands. Good morning to you. I can say
I
that to
brought
you,
you some
Cicely.
coffee if you told me to bring you. I would have brought you some.
But,
You know
but
that.
would I have to tell you that?
Well, I mean, I'm not sure because things happen and things change. So, but if you told me, I would have brought you. You know that.
Let me tell you why I'm being so familiar, so fast, so fresh with Cicely is because for those people who don't know, she was head of TV here at CBC for a very long time.
Very long time.
So she was the boss lady.
Yes, please.
and then she retired, and now here she is in this new role as head of Barbados.
Yes,
so again,
please.
if I've not acknowledged that publicly,
Of course you have.
congratulations.
Thank you so much. It's been like, like 3 years now. Hello?
Yeah, but doing
4
a
years?
phenomenal job. We know how it goes in cycles. We have to bring new people along.
That
so
is
for
true.
people who don't know,
That is true.
it's wonderful to talk about this new role you've taken on at Barbados and doing a fantastic job, if I can say that.
It's not a role that I would have envisioned myself getting into.
Yeah.
But the Lord.
Absolutely. Now, we want to talk about the free parenting classes that are
Yes.
continuing with Barbados.
Yes.
And for a lot of people, we hear your radio show online, and a lot of people know there's a nursery,
Yes.
but they don't know about the parenting classes that are available.
I don't know
to
how
try
they
to help
could not
parents
know.
along.
Yes, definitely. Barbados was established over 53 years ago to help parents. Back then, a lot of parents were going overseas and leaving their children with grannies and aunties, anybody who would have taken the child. And some very wise persons thought that they needed help. And we've been helping parents since then. We have counseling, which is we offer free of charge. We do counseling for the courts, for various different government departments. And any, average person can walk off the street and say, look, I need help. I need help with my child. I need help with this partner, et cetera, et cetera. And we will offer free counseling to you. Now, the parenting classes, again, is part of that way of us giving back and helping parents to become better parents. Not that you're a bad parent, but all of us, once you've had a child, you know that it is not easy, and the classes that we offer is an 11-week class. It covers everything you could think about when it comes to parenting. And they're very interactive. Lots of parents who've gone through the classes have told us that, when we come to 11 weeks, I thought it was going to be so long. I thought it was going to be boring. And can we go on with this? They enjoy the classes because, as I said, they're interactive. They're real. You get real experiences, and you hear from other parents who have either gone through that situation or potentially they will go through the same situation. So you get to hear and to learn, because you have to learn to become a good parent. You're not born with it. You're born with personalities, et cetera, et cetera. But in reality, you have to learn to be a good parent, because naturally we're selfish. Naturally, we want our own way. But when you have a child, all those things have to go out the window, because the child now becomes, or should become, the priority in your life in terms of you and your partner working together for the betterment of that child. So our parenting classes are ones that I believe every person who is thinking about having a baby, thinking about having becoming a parent, et cetera, should take the time to enroll in these classes.
Absolutely. And I love what you said on two parts of what you said just now. the fact that you talked about how it started, because so many people were kind of taking on children, grannies,
yes.
aunties,
With good
neighbors,
intentions.
friends.
Yes.
You know, and that was a way to assist them
Exactly.
in taking care of these children. Even taking care of additional children
Yes.
can change the dynamic of how
course.
you're able to get things
Of course,
done.
with all the good intentions, you know, but the reality is that maybe it could even just be from a physical perspective. You don't have to put these children in one bed or whatever. You know what I mean? That can cause so many other issues, you know. So
And the second part of it is that within the classes, you mentioned that parents are able to engage and interact and share stories.
Definitely.
And we don't have enough of that.
That is true.
Because the way we're raised culturally, it is to keep your
Mouth
business
shut. Yes.
in the house.
Yes.
You know, most Barbadians had up a sign. I don't know who was selling it, Annie Wilson or what. I wasn't around for Annie Wilson, but it says, when you come here, what you hear here,
stay here.
What you see here, let it stay here. I don't know if people can remember that.
Yes.
But we had one of those in the house and we took it to heart. Morning, mommy. You know?
True.
So for people to be able to engage and interact and know
Definitely.
that there are other people who are sharing in your experiences, I think is a big
very,
part of the
very,
battle.
very, very important, because it's like suffering in silence. You know something is wrong. You know you need to do something, but to get the gumption, to get the will to say, oh, let me make a phone call, or let me ask someone that I know can help me.
And I know that you're working along with various agencies as well.
Yes.
To make it happen, because you don't want to reinvent the wheel.
No,
I mean, there are
definitely
other
not.
agencies that are also working in tandem with you and non-governmental, governmental agencies and so on to be able to assist.
Well, this morning we're actually here talking about the Parent Wise program, which is part of the National Peace Program. And it's about 5 different non-governmental organizations who obviously work in parenting, work in helping, children, parents to become better parents. And we are part of that program. So this particular class that I'm talking about is part of that program. And we're actually scheduled to start it on Saturday. And we've gone to Courage and Parry, and we've gone to the Valley. I know we're looking at St. Philip and Christchurch. We're not limiting it to those 2 parishes, but obviously, if you're St. Peter and you want to come to St. Philip, fine. We're not going to turn you away, because we are here to help you. So the classes that we're looking to start on the 26th is actually going to be for 4 Saturdays, right? We know that parents are busy, so we will be doing it every other Saturday, and starting on the 26th, November 9th to 23rd, and December 7th. And if you want, I can just give you a little idea of some of the classes that you're going to be having. Raising emotionally intelligent children, that's the first class, because we feel that it all starts with the parent and recognizing where you are at. What are your triggers? What are the things that make you upset, that make you, take your anger out on your children? And recognize that children need to be well-rounded, not just, on one track to become a doctor or become a lawyer, whatever, but they need to be well-rounded persons. Train up a child. How do you train your child? How do you become a model that your child can follow? Because that's what it's all about. I was in a school just yesterday evening, and again, talking to parents and encouraging them to take the classes. And I tell them that, in your home, the environment that you create for that child is very, very important, because what you say, what you don't say, what you do, what you don't do, all of those things are going to be influencing your child. And then when the child starts acting out, you wonder, why is he? But if you sit down and you take some time, you recognize, yeah, I didn't exactly say the right thing. I was actually talking about my neighbor, about my husband, which is the child's father, who's hearing this. And then when the child is not listening to daddy because remembering what mommy said about, we are creating the environment that is not, positive. All in one family, blended families. You come in a relationship, he has a child, you got 1, he got 3, you got 2. How do you bring them together? How do you, start with obviously you and the father, coming together, recognizing, yes, there are going to be differences, there are going to be challenges, but we need to be on the same page. Conflict resolution. Conflict resolution. Wherever you go, it's there. Your home, in the streets, wherever you go, there's conflict resolution that we need to be working on. Co-parenting, again, co-parenting. You can't miss it. As I said, we do counseling for the courts, and the majority of cases that we get, co-parenting? How do we get two people who were once in love, who were once, this was my be it all and end all of a sudden something has happened in a relationship and gone separate ways, but you have children. How do we put our differences aside and come back and say, look, this child didn't ask to be here, but we have to put our differences aside and do what is best for this child. I don't want you back. Stay where you are. I don't want you, but we got to work together for this child. Yeah. Sexual and reproductive health. This is always a very interesting class because we go into how you were taught about sex. Did your mother tell you? Did your father? Of course not. Exactly. So how, what you understand and the reality of that, and then how do you sit down and talk to your child? Because that's a very, very important conversation that you need to have with your child. Everything parents should know about bullying. I don't have to say that. We know where it is everywhere you go. Even in the workplace, there is bullying.
And the face of that has changed.
Oh, yes.
With the advent of the internet.
Hello.
It's changed drastically because you felt before as though if I keep my children inside, I can protect them. Now they're inside and can still be bullied.
Definitely, for sure. We are what we eat. Obviously, that explains itself. Parenting in the digital age, this is one that is very key. A lot of parents, probably like me, you know how to send an email, maybe sometimes, WhatsApp, whatever. But in terms of understanding all the dynamics that's involved, when you put a phone in a child's hand, my 5-year-old granddaughter knows more about this phone than I do. She knows about TikTok, and hello, you know what I mean? And the thing is that you say your child go into the room and be on your phone, whatever, your tablet, whatever. But you don't really understand what is going on with that child in that room.
Yeah.
There's so many things that the child is seeing that you're not aware of. Count the costs. Obviously, we have to budget. We need money. And recognizing that your child is sick and you need to get this child to the hospital.
And you're going to go through all of this in these 4 sessions?
Yes.
Each one?
Yes. Yes.
Wow, that's a lot.
Yeah. Well, it is a lot, but it can be done. We've done it before. So the Saturday you come, we have a little introduction for the first class, and the class is about 2 hours. We have lunch, and then we come back and we do the other 2 classes. It works.
So there's a need to register.
There's a need to register for sure, because we have to cater. We're going to feed you, and if you have children and you need to bring your child, we will take care of your child. So when you register,
up to what age?
Up to what age?
Yeah, I'm just gauging for the parents who have teenagers. Can we bring them and put them in childcare as well?
Yes, we will make a way, definitely, because those children can perhaps help us to take care of the younger ones. Yeah. But the fact is we're leaving no stone unturned for you to come to the classes, because we all need the classes. Yes. So we're going to feed you, we're going to take care of your child, your children. Just yesterday I was telling parents, bring the children, because we're going to be engaging them as well.
How do we register?
You can register online, obviously. Call Paradise 427-2012. Go on our page, paradise.org. You see how much I know in digital, remembering these things. But you just call Paradise and we will register you, as well as if you've seen the flyer, or you go on. You can also do the phone and register.
Oh, that's beautiful. Free parenting classes.
Free parenting classes. Free. Asians love free.
Our favorite word.
Yes, free.
So these classes are right for you if parenting is a priority and you want to navigate the evolving landscape of parenting.
Yes.
If you're a parent or guardian and you're seeking expert insight to safeguard and enrich the child, the
grandmothers, granddaddies,
children,
grandfathers can come. Yeah. If you're a guardian, if you are a teacher, if you're involved with children, you can come.
You want to stay engaged and influential in your child's life and build a powerful bond with them for life.
Very, very important.
That's important. You desire to cut through the noise and understand the real impact of your parenting choices on your child. You need effective techniques to navigate technology use and ensure online safety for your family and your child. And we mentioned that. You want to be an exemplary figure for your children, demonstrating the importance of empathy, responsibility, and personal growth, or you love enjoying quality time with your family, creating lasting memories and strong bonds through shared experiences and open communication. That's all of us, Cicely. That's everybody. Everybody wants, their family to be functional.
I want to believe that. I really want to believe that. But we also know that persons get yourself involved in a relationship and you didn't plan to have this child. You were having a good time, and then the child comes along and the relationship falls apart, you lose your job, you can't support the child, et cetera, et cetera. Not that you, as I said, you're a bad person, but obviously those different, situations have placed you in a place where you can't give of your best, you know what I mean? And you need help in terms of how do you navigate your own situation and then the child that you are now responsible for. Parenting now has to be intentional. Once upon a time you come along and, if you didn't do what you had to do, your neighbor next door would come in and child can always go by somebody down the road and they would be fed or taken care of, whatever. No, you can't just do that anymore. You have to be intentional. You have to create that village. You're living in a village, but your next door neighbor may not be the person that you want your child to be spending time with. Could be a very nice person, but have to be so careful. Because you don't know what's going on in that other person's head and certainly not in the home. You may see a particular picture, but you have to be intentional in terms of how you want your child to be exposed to certain things, to have certain ideas, you know what I mean? So obviously you're not going to be the, be all and end all of your child. The child has to go out in the world and live with other people. But what you instill in that child from as early as possible will help them to navigate certain things. Says, no, I can't do that. My mommy would not, allow me to do that. I can't do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then a lot of us have expectations of children that we never really share.
Mm-hmm.
So we think that they're going to just know by virtue of mental telepathy that I don't want you to move this and put it here.
Yeah.
Or that I don't have to repeat it sometimes. People have to repeat stuff for adults as well.
Of course.
So why would you think you don't have to? I mean, there's so many areas to cover. Sounds like you have everything covered. Again, it is coming up starting this coming Saturday.
Princess Margaret
at
School.
the Princess Margaret School.
Yes. Please register so we can be prepared for you as far as food is concerned, because we're going to feed you.
And then it's 9 to 5.
Yes, exactly. And then the children, of course, because obviously we'll have some. A lady asked me yesterday, can she bring her baby? And I said, yes, we just need to know, obviously, so we can put things in place to handle the baby. And some people can bring it, 12-year-old, whatever, so you have to cater for those children. But we're leaving no stone unturned no excuse, sorry, that you can't come. Once you have the time, you can come.
All right, absolutely. I mean, there's nothing left to say.
Mm-hmm.
You can email admin@parados.org.
Thank you.
Give them a call, 427-0212 or 427-5737.
Mm-hmm.
This is really important, especially given what's happening in our country right now. And we really need to engage, discuss, help each other along to be able to.
You should be never too old to learn. You should always be trying to learn. And even as a parent, it's even more critical that you keep ahead of your child, because the children today will pass you by. They will pass you by if you're still back then, rubbing two sticks together when they're using the, cell phone and whatever.
It's true.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so thank you, Cicely. Always wonderful to have you in studio.
Thank you. It's always good to see you.
Even better for me to kind of give you a little nudge every now and then. But I see her all the time. She's here doing the radio show upstairs, so we always run into each other. Always good to see you.
It's good to be home again for a few minutes.
It's true.
Yes.
You can stay, All right, it's time for another break.
Thank you.
Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. It's a different feeling altogether.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
You know why?
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.vb. And together we will travel the world.
From the beautiful shores of the gem of the Caribbean, Barbados, home of the amazing Harrison's Cave, the tantalizing Oystins Bay Garden, our historic garrison, the indigenous road tennis, and the friendliest people in the world. We are 94.7 FM, the ultimate Bajan experience.
My friend, you don't plan to get it? Oh, Barbados. Hey, I'm KB Clean. Join me 6 a.m. until 10 a.m. right here at 94.7, the best and ultimate Bajan experience. My show is called Bajan to the Bone. Don't miss it, Bajan to the Bone. Weekdays right here and only here on 94.7.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
It's 7:41. We're joined now by Dr. Dale Brathwaite, who's a naturopath. And we started a really interesting conversation last week, had lots and lots of calls following. Of course, people were telling us it was way too short. So it's great to have you back to be able to continue our conversation on sleep and sleep hygiene. Good morning.
Good morning to the 50,000 persons watching Good Morning Barbados.
I see that you're watching our ads.
Of course.
The figures have gone up, people. Anyway, we're going to talk about that
CBC
later.
Night News is what, 56,000?
He is being so dangerous right now.
But that's true as what CBC at night.
It is true. It is true. All right. So if you're watching CBC at night, are you getting adequate sleep?
All right, hear this, right? That's an hour. When the news done, my phones go off.
Okay.
I shut down digital devices deliberately because at 54 years old, I have to manage me for the next 50 years. And being single, I got to create the best opportunity to have a nice wife for the next 50 years. Then to manage my daughter's academic future. Daddy got to be ready. So I train me Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sunday mornings. So if these things are to be done, I have to be careful where I'm looking carefully. No, you call some words like one is sleep hygiene. Sleep hygiene is different from sleep, you know. Sleep hygiene is the issue of preparing to sleep. And then sleep is a state in which the human goes into where your brain doesn't start working from the time you're born till basically just before death.
That's so interesting because I assumed, I guess, when we talk about sleep hygiene, I thought it was the processes or procedures you go through, in and surrounding sleep.
All right, wait. You bringing some things together and let me make sure I get this good.
Okay.
When you're dealing with sleep, there are stages and phases that your brain takes you through, generally in that 7 to 8 hours, all things being even. So stages and phases. If any stage is compromised, the result in terms of your biomedical performances, your blood flow and so forth, will also be compromised. And then your biomechanics will also be compromised. In addition, when our young people are not having adequate sleep because of the impact of the digital devices, their emotions will have disruptive expressions. So as a result, what I would normally do, and I chill and I cool, I will have difficulty navigating the daily normals. So as a result, you're going to have outbursts in classroom environments that where you could have tolerated a little bunks and tolerating that, oh, you think it. So these things begin to show up because of inadequate sleep. Sleep has a restorative value to the human, where when we sleep, one of the things that happens, and I'm talking about adequate sleeping, your brain takes time to heal your body. I was listening to the doctor who spoke this morning as a neuroscientist, and sleep has healing power. If you're not adequately sleeping, how your brain works is that during the course of the day, you have beta amyloid protein, and it has to have a certain volume. So your amino acids and so forth helps with daily interactions, helps with learning and memory and what we call executive functions. If you're not adequately sleeping, that becomes plaque. Now, when that plaque is present, it builds up if we're not sleeping properly over time, and that buildup could be as much as 2.5 decades. And part of the outcome is like Alzheimer's and dementias. And recently we have had some matured people walking away from home, and then, the sad outcome. If you're sleeping, what happens, if we, because I'm part of the process as well. When we're sleeping, one of the things that happens is that, I think it is tau and beta amyloid proteins, they get washed away. The brain shrinks, and in that shrinkage period, you have something within the human brain, CSF, the cerebrospinal fluid. It goes around the brain, and then from all the activities, it pushes what is now considered these toxins into the bloodstream, and it is eliminated. Now, neck down, you have what we call the lymphatic system. Now, those of you who are not in your 50s may not know, this is a big word, but we used to have something called the Watson kernel, right? I know the photographer, videographer is laughing.
I'm not in my 50s, and I know what a Watson kernel is.
So sorry, baby. But the lymphatic system is operating. You may get the swelling under the neck, in the groin, the armpit, and so forth. Now, if your lymphatic system is not carrying away the toxins, the junk, and so forth, lymphatic cancers can come up. Now, if this is the case, brain issues come up if the toxins in the brain are being carried away. For example, in my book, which you and I dealt with many, many years ago, if your heart and my heart doesn't have a clean, clear blood flow, you can have no plaque from the teeth. There's a bacteria that seeps into the heart, on the arteries and so forth, and can cause heart-related issues. Now, by dental hygiene habits, if people call me, and depending on what the conversation is, I direct them to one of my team players, to the dentist. So look, this is the case, I need an urgent case. And the hygienist comes in, and we clean the teeth before we start dealing with things like hypertension and so forth. Once there's that cleaning, then there's a chance that I can have clean and clearer arteries to help work with the individual. And it is important that we consider the elements. Now, the doctor earlier this morning, you can tell me her name, I can't remember.
Dr. Annabelle.
Dr. Annabelle called a word homeostasis. As a naturopath, part of my responsibility is to help your body to function at its highest, regardless of what you're doing. If you're an athlete, if you're a media person like you, if you're into videography, like our cameraman and so forth, everybody has to function. So I have to consider your external environment and the internal environment and what we need to top up on. So people come into me, one of the first things I start to ask is this: how is you sleeping? How are you defecating? And also, tell me about your nutrition. Tell me about the things you eat. So I don't want scientists per se, but I'm asking, how are you managing you? As a result of managing you, especially with sleep, if there's that sense of sleep toxicity, I have a problem helping you to heal. Because sleep deals with growth hormones that helps your body to repair. If your sleep is compromised, you'll just be treating symptoms over and over again.
All right, so let's talk about a few little scenarios here. Like I told you, I wanted to kind of jump on them so that it's a little more relatable, because this can be very information heavy in terms of telling people about how the body and brain works and why it's necessary to sleep. Why is it necessary for us to give the little ones a sleep time? You know, for the little ones, for me, right up until maybe 10 or 11, it was 8 o'clock. And then I extended it. You talked about adequate sleep. Is there adequate sleep that's different as you move from person to person or in different age groups?
I would prefer to say age groups and jobs. Like my father, good morning to him, and my mother with her birthday coming up very soon.
Okay.
He is a retired aircraft engineer, and he was with BV. And one of the things that the company did is that they stopped their workers from driving to work because they started to come home, and on the way home, he said sometimes the dream would waking up that he's running into a pool. Thank God he woke. And BV took the responsibility of making sure that their workers get adequate sleep. The pilot and the stewardesses, or I think you call them stewardesses,
yes,
male and female, they would go to a hotel because if you do long trips, you can't take back up a plane sometimes because if your sleep is off, it is worse than drunkenness.
Yeah.
And it is very close to being drunk. So you find that if our children are not sleeping well, what we call executive function doesn't occur.
I know this is acknowledged in other countries, particularly in the US and Europe, where people who drive, for example, can only drive for certain amounts of time.
Yes, please.
So, I mean, this is mandated by law. It's written into law. Drivers, not only of large commercial vehicles, but also people who drive like coaches and so on for tours, they can only drive for a specific amount of time and then they must rest. So, you know, that lends itself to let us know the esteem within which they hold the importance of sleep.
Well, and I like what you have said, quite scientifically sound, because if we are not sleeping properly, you're putting the community at risk for accidents. You know?
Yeah.
And I mean, when you're sleepy, I don't care what you're trying to do, you're going to buck them.
It's true. So when the children, you mentioned early on that when the children don't get enough sleep, and we know that some of the children are going into the bedroom, but the TV is still on, the computer is in there, so you have flashing blue lights, you have that blue light we were talking about, maybe they have the cell phones, maybe now they're telling you they're reading from the Kindle, you know, this is taking away from their sleep. So how can you get them back on a good path to getting adequate sleep for their age? If we're talking about children, maybe under 10 and under to start.
Well, one of the things is that we call, well, in athletic training, there's something called chaining and linking. We try to get to the whole chain, but we're going to put together the parts that they can understand. That if they want to function in the morning, you got to give me some night rest. In that, what happens is that our children require quality sleep for growth. And you mentioned your daughter, and likewise, my daughter, she's now a teenager, just celebrated her 13th birthday, 26th of September. Happy belated birthday greetings. I mean, come on, girl. And she's just about as tall as I am.
Wow.
13, she has 6 footers on both sides. I'm the shortest of 3 brothers. And on my father's side, 6 footers. My mother's side, 6 footers. On my ex-wife's side, 6 footers. Her dad. So sleep helps with repair and feeding growth hormones and so forth. If sleep is compromised, your full human DNA expressions will be compromised. In addition, one of these things that sleep addresses is brain activity. My forehead, our foreheads, there is the frontal lobe or the frontal cortex, which deals with like the executive of human behavior. Now, if that sleep is compromised, behavior is compromised. In addition, there's the amygdala that is attached. So if the frontal cortex is going into difficulty, all the other phases and links inside the brain can be compromised.
Is there anything we can do? I know that there's much talk about at night they used to give children hot tea. I don't know if that made older people sleep.
Milk helps.
Yeah.
And going back to something, the hippocampus. And I link it to like the campus of the universities. If these three parts of the brain are compromised, you can get it where you like, and it can fully help. Sleep.
So what's adequate sleep for a child under 10, you'd say?
Enough.
Like what, more than the 8 hours that we
yes,
about,
boss.
more than the 9 hours?
Because the teenager is stretching, is growing, and in Barbados term...
Does it increase for teenagers? Because
yes.
I know as a parent, sometimes when I see the children in the bedroom too long and they're sleeping, I'd be like, get up and do something.
But you mashing at each other. They're obzucky, their foot growing, their hands growing, and all kind of things. And we said, geez.
So I should just let them sleep?
Let them sleep.
What?
But then breaking in the body house. They said, your house. You know what I'm saying? Let the children sleep. And that is when they grow. And you watch during the summers that children are technical midgets and they come back home tall. And we're seeing it happening.
Yeah, and also I mentioned that sometimes children, the way how they grow, sometimes they wake up and they're bigger or longer than they were when they went to sleep. That's why sometimes they're so clumsy.
Right.
I've heard of that.
And you cannot put that athletic load on children because you find that if we try to put the Olympic loads on these teenagers, you mashing them up because the growth hormones, growth spurts and stuff can be destroyed. Let them sleep. Less trouble on your hands.
Yeah, I know they're up all night playing games. We have to move away from that and let them get some rest so that they're not, as Dr. Brathwaite is saying, antsy in the morning. They can deal with their emotions and they can fulfill those functions in and out of school that make them the best person they are. Now, you brought a few things along because we were discussing beforehand. I know when we get to talk about the adults now, a lot of the times we're working very long hours. You know, there are employers who now expect us to answer, you know, at every call, at any time, because you have a company phone. So, you know, they're sending emails all through the night, all hours of the day, and you're kind of expected to respond in short order.
That's you.
So, that's who?
That's you, not me.
Very dangerous today. So you brought a few things along for people who might be going home. And I've told you that sometimes driving home, because of the nature of the work we do, I feel myself losing a second or two. As you mentioned, when the body is tired, you know, how can we work to avert that outside of just getting regular sleep? I know you brought some props along.
Oh, does he call them? I brought some food. You call them props? Or here it is.
Food props, yes.
Oh, you know, in every profession there is a lexicon. There's a use of words and stuff. All right, I used to train athletes at night. And I realized the time we going home from where I used to live, the gymnasium to Butley Sugar Factory area. Gosh, and I get some, I said, nah, I didn't. So one of the things that I would do is that I would do a special set of coughing. You know, coughing.
Just coughing?
Yes.
If you're tired?
Yes, a deep cough, a deep breath, a deep cough, and it triggers the heart. Second, I would add walnuts, I would add raisins, and or what we call cranberries. The cranberry taste is kind of tight on the jaw.
Yeah.
You can't sleep when you get that.
Okay.
That's one.
So what does that do?
Well, if you research the health benefits of walnuts, of raisins, even cranberries, you're dealing with anti-inflammatory agents. You're also dealing with energy boosters. Raisins, for example, helps with oxygenation to the brain. When sleep comes on, the melatonin factor, because outside is dark, you find that you're going to feel sleepy. It helps to produce a natural alcohol in the blood that is not intoxicating and so forth. And you putting in these, it brings up an energy factor in you to help you to get home. It does not replace the need to sleep, but it supplies sufficient energy. And you're taking your time, you're chewing, and you're chewing. And that little acid inside the cranberries and the other components, it brings us together where you can get enough energy to get you home.
All right. I want to thank you for coming in, Dr. Dale. He's going to be back. So don't worry, sleep. The important thing, what we want to leave you with is get adequate sleep. So make sure that you get that rest. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll wrap up today's show. Stay with us.
Morning, morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
We enjoy a game of dominoes and singing karaoke.
I just love crew.
When you love me just a little bit longer.
You get to relax and have a drink and listen to some nice music.
It's something different. It's spectacular. It's fabulous. You know, it's a different feeling altogether.
Follow me to Q in the Community this Thursday.
While you go about your business, we go about our business, and that is gathering the news. Stay up to date at CBC News Barbados on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Get news update on radio throughout the day. And join us for the CBC News Night at 7 every night. CBC News team is on the job and bringing you the news.
There is a saying, you can find a Bajan anywhere. Are you a Bajan living abroad? Or do you know of one who has migrated to another country? Well, we at Mornin Barbados would love to have you or them on our Bajan Afar segment. Share your amazing stories, experiences, and how you have adapted to a new culture. Send us an email to morninbarbados@cbc.bb. And together we will travel the world.
Morning, morning. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Hey, we hope you had a great time with us today. Thanks for joining. We look forward to being with you again tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Barbados, get up. Good morning.